don't need a high-end designer or a lot of money to get a luxe look. Be your own interior designer.
This is Affordable Interior Design, the podcast.
Here's your host, Betsy Helmuth.
So my first question comes from Matthew. Matthew is actually an Academy graduate, and he is writing in with a question. Betsy, I want to ask about choosing light fixtures when keeping resale value in mind. I have a client for whom I want to recommend a light fixture that's a little unique and interesting. It consists of a narrow wooden beam with 5 concrete shades, and it would be hung above their kitchen island. They plan to be in their house for 5 to 7 years. Would you consider this a long enough period to go more personal with light fixtures, or would it be better to keep more universally appealing for when it comes to listing the house for sale? All right, Matthew. So in my humble opinion, I think of light fixtures like window treatments. They're probably not going to be able to go with you. They're typically very house specific. They either need to coordinate with the architecture in terms of their look, or they need to coordinate with the architecture in terms of their scale. Like, say these people in 7 years move to a different location and their island is much, much bigger. Well, they're going to need a bigger pendant. Say their dining room is much, much smaller. Well, they're going to need a smaller chandelier. So I always think when recommending light fixtures and window treatments to people that really, if you can take them with you, wonderful. And if you can't, that's probably going to be the more than likely scenario. That being said, I don't give a lick about resale value for light fixtures or for window treatments. With light fixtures and window treatments, you want the value. Sorry, guys, for those of you who just saw on YouTube, I have to wave because people walk by, and that was the friendly mailman. He's so nice. Anyway, where was I? So, small town USA. So, yeah, for things like window treatments and light fixtures, they are so important, right? Drapes extend practically from the floor to the ceiling. Light fixtures light up, and so they draw attention to themselves. Additionally, they're not going to get stained or broken because they're up high. Nobody's spilling wine on a ceiling flush mount, right? So I do think they're worth investing money. Also, they can show well in pictures, but I would not consider resale value, and I would be open to swapping out something that was very edgy when you are showing the space. Because all you really need is a handyman to switch out a light fixture that's already there. All you really need is a ladder to switch out a drape that's already there. So for instance, in my dining room, I have very bold paisley drapes that have every color of the rainbow except for teal and purple. And teal's not even in the rainbow, but work with me here, right? They are very vibrant, very colorful, and they are not going to be to most people's tastes. I will share a picture of them on YouTube. But yes, they came from Pier 1 and I absolutely love them, but they are a very shiny paisley. And then I have this light fixture that is a knockoff of famous design that is glass. So the framework is kind of an upside down triangle, right, with the point towards the table. But the actual fixture are all these glass discs that are in an opaque sort of milk glass white. And really, authentic versions of this are sold on Cherish and First Dibs for over $5,000. And I considered that type of splurge when I was looking at these. But then one of my designers working for me, who I had helped design my house, because designing your own house is really intimidating. So I had her look at all my selections and help me to really up level them, because I just had a Pinterest board that looked crazy. I just had so many ideas for my dream house that I had a hard time narrowing it down and keeping it sophisticated because it was my personal project. There was so much involved that I couldn't see the forest for the trees. Anyway, So she found me a knockoff on Lamps Plus for $179. And at the time, I had spent a little bit more than I'd hoped on my house, and we were pretty house poor. So the idea of saving $4,000 to $5,000 was pretty exciting. And so I went for that one instead. But I'm kind of glad I did, because in my next home, the homes I'm looking at, it's probably not going to go. But even if it did match the style of the home, I'm over it. I want something new. I'm a designer. I love to switch things out. I love to embrace what I'm working with. New home is a new opportunity for a new look. So I am basically recommending that you splurge on the light fixtures, splurge on the drapes, knowing it's not a long-term investment. And if you're able to take them with you, if you're still excited about them in the next home, well, just consider it icing on an already delicious cake. And when you're ready to resell, if your real estate agent says, hey, I think these rainbow paisley drapes are going to be a liability, take them down, swap them for something neutral from Bed Bath & Beyond, and you only spend $20 per panel on each replacement, and you got to live for 5 to 7 years with something that really resonated with you and you really loved. Matthew, I hope that helps with your client. And I love to hear that Academy graduates are out there taking clients, running their business, and making their dreams come true. Good for you, Matthew. I have followed your journey from the beginning, and you were such a generous student, always giving and sharing in the Facebook group, always working hard with every module, and I love watching that pay off. A big thank you to Aton and the Embassy, who wrote our theme song. A shout out to Catherine Heller, who owns the podcast shop and is our editor extraordinaire. We also want to thank Ginny Sunasan and her team at the Savvy Podcast Agency for their help with our social, our YouTube channel, and so much more. We also want to thank Uploft, which is our parent company who supports this podcast. And lastly, we owe a huge debt of gratitude to you. Thank you so much for tuning in and for all your support.